All right, ladies and gents, it's another day, script and role play. Welcome to the call. And let's kick it off like we always do. What do you got gratitude for? What are you thankful for? Real quick, before we jump further than that, there's a really great episode on the Win, Make, Give podcast. And if you just go back a couple weeks to just around Thanksgiving, they talked about the difference between gratitude and thankfulness, right? Like, are you thankful for something or are you grateful for something? And what do you think the difference between gratitude and thankfulness is? What do you think? Because as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I've never had to sit and think about what the differences are, and yet they're pretty distinct, right? What's the difference between thankfulness and gratitude?
Is being grateful surrounded by like an action or something that happened, and thankfulness is more like an idea. Like, I'm thankful for this idea.
Did you listen to the episode? Are you sandbagging here, CJ?
No, I'm not.
That's exactly right. Thankfulness is an emotion. It's a feeling, right? When I'm thankful for something that happened, like, I feel good about it. Grateful is an action, like you said. It's a doing and a being, right? So like, if I'm thankful for my health, I'm just thankful that I'm healthy. But if I'm grateful for my health, it's going to affect how I eat, how I move, how I show up, right? Like, gratitude for something affects how we show up every day around it, right? Like, if I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in real estate, then I'm going to do the activities of someone who's really having a great business in real estate. If I'm just thankful for business, that's different, right? So I just thought it was a really interesting take on the two, right? And so oftentimes when we share our gratitudes, we're really sharing thankfulness, and yet there's a lot of things to be grateful for. And either way, I'm not gonna nitpick on which one you decide to talk about, because they both lead to better energy. So what's something you're thankful for, grateful for, or a bucket you'd like to fill, or a win or aha from this past week? I'm grateful that there are no trees around my house that were bigger than my house last night, because there are some other homes in the neighborhood that weren't so fortunate, right? And so I'm super grateful for that. Last night was intense.
This is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
I'm grateful for Allison Cunningham. Our team made a big change in direction at the 11th hour and 59th minute. And she's such a trooper. She just was, okay, let's do this. And so I'm very grateful for having her as my teammate.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. Anyone else?
We closed on a rental property yesterday. That was a big win for my family.
Yeah. Nice job. Cool. Anyone else?
Also, let's just give Chantel a little bucket fill. This is one of her first script calls, and we're happy she's here.
Hey.
Nice. Welcome, Chantel. Hey, I'm great. It's hard to kind of put into words, but I'll tell you what I'm grateful for is kind of over the past 4 years since I've gotten into this business, I've kind of challenged myself to continue to grow. And over the last month, it's been a very complicated, difficult month for me and my family. But a lot of the tools that I learned over the last 4 years have helped me rebound a little bit better and quicker and faster. And not that I'm totally rebound, but at the same time, it's important to note that all these things that stretch you and make you feel uncomfortable will play a part in your life in the future when things maybe are out of your control. So that's what I'm grateful for.
Right on. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So let's kick it off. So taking a look at what you have coming up this weekend and next week going into the holidays, what major activity or event or presentation do you have that you'd like to get some work in on this call around it? and some feedback and or any challenges, obstacles, or objections that you've been hearing lately that you just also want to workshop.
Well, I would like to just throw this out here. When you have a customer that you're talking to, and you're trying to schedule that appointment with them, and they just keep saying no, they keep coming up with, reason, excuse, whatever, time after time, and they just don't want to have that appointment with you. Any ideas on after you've asked them for the appointment 4 or 5 times?
Okay. All right. So you've got some, so you've had a conversation, or is this the initial lead call? You're going through a brief kind of quick needs analysis in order to create enough interest in setting the appointment. Is that kind of the context of this?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. The initial call, or maybe the second call, but it's definitely new in the process. So you don't really know what the motivation is yet. Probably haven't done a needs analysis at this point, just trying to get them in, or to meet with you over Zoom, or at least commit to having more than just a 3-minute conversation with you.
So okay, so that in itself is kind of an objection, and yet generally the pushback to not meet is one of 4 or 5 different things, right? So have they expressed why they don't want to meet? Like,
like, an idea would be just that, hey, we're not really thinking about it right now. It was just something that we were, I was just looking at online, not really, thinking about buying a house right now.
okay, great. So we're just looking, right? Just
Yep.
looking, timing, et cetera, right? And let's create kind of a list of what some of the common pushbacks against meeting are. What else do you hear other than so that's a lack of motivation, just looking, maybe early, oftentimes that's smoke. But it may also be, I was on Facebook and I clicked on this and I didn't realize someone was going to call me, right? How do we turn that into something else? And we'll get into that in a minute. So just looking is one. What are some of the other pushbacks or objections you get for the appointment?
Too busy, or don't have time.
Yep. Too busy, time. What else? What else do you hear?
I think online leads a lot of times just say, oh, I know an agent, or I have an agent.
Okay, good. No, we're having an agent. Perfect. What else?
I guess you could say don't understand the value of meeting, or they don't get the
Why can't
benefit.
you just show me the house? Yeah, why can't you just take me to the house? I want to see the one house. Why do we got to meet? Just show me the house. Anything else? So cool. I'm not the one with all the answers. You guys have all the answers. So what I'd love to do is just kind of go down this list, and I'd love to just kind of hear your take on how do you handle that objection, or what are some of the things that you've said or used that have worked that can get you there. So let's take a look at the just looking. I'm just looking. We're not in a rush. Not looking right now. What are some of the ways that you propose or handle that objection?
One of the things that I use would be, that's great. My goal is to actually be your agent before you need me. And one of the ways that I can help you and get an idea to assist you when you are ready is by meeting now. That way I know exactly what you're looking for. So when that perfect property comes up at the perfect time for you, we're ready to go, versus, you see it and then you try to scramble to get everything ready. We can talk about that now and be ready at that time.
Okay, good. What else can you use? Who else has used something else that has worked in this capacity?
I would say something like, that's great. You're just curious. So what intrigued you about this particular property?
Okay, good, right? So like even just kind of going around it and say, well, what caused you to click on this one?
So I would probably say something like, so are you currently renting or do you have a home to sell?
There you go. Taking
And then
back
see what
control
they
of the
say.
conversation.
And then just start asking questions around that. If they're renting, are they month to month? Are they in a lease? Do they have a home to sell? Would they have to sell it first? Have you talked to a lender? Just keep asking those questions to keep them on the phone and start building that relationship.
Okay, good. What else? With someone who's just looking. Their timeline is wide open. They don't want to meet because it's so early in the process.
But you don't know if it's so early in the process without knowing their situation. So, I
Correct.
mean,
There you
you've got
go.
to ask those questions.
Yeah. So some other questions you might want to ask is, okay, awesome. So tell me what that actually means for you. Is that 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 3 months? Like when do you see that changing for you? And is there anything in place that you feel is kind of holding it back? And so I'm firing off some questions. I'm going to give them a time, like a minute, and to breathe and answer. Another question that I may also ask is, would there ever be a property in a location or price point that if we found it could change your motivation? Because I want to match you. However, if the perfect property falls out of the sky, beds, baths, budget, and location, where would it be? What would it need to look like? And how would you like me to get it to you? Would anything change your timeline? Those are all great questions, right?
How I like to ask that question, and it typically works, is if a buyer's like, yeah, we're just looking, we're browsing, I get really excited around it. That's perfect. One of the most stressful things in my job is to talk to somebody that needs to buy a house tomorrow. So in my perfect world, I would love to chat with you if you're like 12 months out from buying a property. Are you guys for sure you won't even like want to go look at a house until next year? And usually they're like, oh, well, no, we want to go see a house. Like, can we, what do you mean a year? And so then you can start to create a little bit of value. I've never had somebody say, yeah, we're good for a full year. Usually they'll go ahead and start unveiling their timeline.
Have you guys ever watched any clips or videos of Brad Lee, Lea? He's a big sales guy out there. He's kind of like in the Grant Cardone kind of guys. And he had a little video around this exact thing. So he was from the auto business, and yet he would say, I'd get so excited when someone came on the lot and they said they were just looking, because he said, I would finish the sentence for them. And he said, and they say, hey, I'm just looking. He's like, awesome, to buy a car. Hey, I'm just looking to buy, oh, great. Looking to buy a house. And that would shift the mindset and get the conversation going. And like several of you are smiling already when I'm saying it, but it is that, like, they clicked on it because they're just looking to buy a house in the future. And so awesome. I'm so glad we connected because I can help you buy a house. You're looking. So that was just a quick little mindset shift around that. Any other thoughts around that one before we move on to the next fun objection of busy time? All right. So the next one, you're building rapport, you're having some great conversation. Look, it seems like, and it sounds like the next best step for us is to kind of get together so I can learn a little bit more in detail and put together the properties and the lists and move forward from there. Is 5 o'clock today good, or is tomorrow better? Right. And they say, you know what? I'm too busy. I'm too busy to meet. I don't want to meet. Too busy. Busy. What do you got? How do you handle that? We got some humble agents that are just looking to be polite here right now. Don't hold the gold back. Share it. What do you got? How do you handle the too busy? Or is that one just your kryptonite? It just knocks you down. You give up. You're like, okay, click.
So I usually say, Landon, I love it that you guys are busy because you're both working full time and you have kids. This is my full-time gig. So if we can just get together whenever, I'll come to your house, you come to me, give me 10 or 15 minutes where we can sit down and really have a strategy session. And then I can go to work for you while you're going to work for you. Does that make sense? How about tomorrow?
Good. What else? He was just being nice because he talked already. One of my favorite things with
Rebecca stole mine.
not fair. One of my favorite things is to use the objection is exactly why we need to get together, right? Turning the objection into the benefit, right? So like, hey, so you're really busy. Oh my gosh, I totally get it. And that's exactly why we should get together. So whenever we visit and you tell me exactly what you're looking for, I can make sure I'm only showing you and finding those types of properties so that we don't have to waste time in the future. Does that make sense? Right. And so if we can slow down for 15 or 20 minutes now, we can save hours in the process. Right. And that just simply makes sense, doesn't it? It's one of my favorite ones is just using the objection as the benefit.
Another thing I like to do, Matt, is make them sell me. So like, oh, okay, you're too busy to get together. I can appreciate that. You got a busy schedule. Does your schedule even allow shopping for homes at this point then?
So a little takeaway.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What else?
I think people telling you they're busy is a really weak objection. So you just got to dig in and figure out how can I provide you just a little bit more value? Because that's not a real objection. You're not too busy. Looking at houses is one of the most exciting things for the general public. So how do you get them in front of you so then you can go to the most exciting thing? Is it off-market properties? Is it a look behind the curtain about what's coming on pre-MLS? I don't know, but it doesn't take much to break down that one, in my opinion.
Remember that an objection is simply a question in the mind of the consumer that if you answer it, you earn the opportunity. The reason why they're pushing back is we haven't quite connected enough value to meeting yet, right? And so by answering and handling it, you've earned the opportunity to get in there, right? So if because they could easily just hang up, or they don't have to give you an objection. Getting an objection is not a bad thing. You now get to handle it. So yeah, so when you hear the objection, get excited about the objection, because now you've got an opportunity to earn the business. Otherwise, they just hang up. They just go. They're like, I don't have time for this. Bye. Like, click. Right? If they're still on the phone and they're still breathing, you've got a chance to convert. And it's the agent with the most skills and practice that gets it, not the one with the best personality or the best gift for gab or has had experience. It's the most prepared agent, the agents that are on this call that now have 2, 3, 4 different ways of having a conversation around that objection, right?
How about, Mr. Buyer, I understand that you're too busy, and yet you told me that you wanted a first tier lake home, and they're very hard to find. So if you allow me 15 minutes to find out a little bit more about what you're looking for, like the location and whatnot, you can continue doing your job and let me do my job. That way, when the perfect lake tier home or property comes on the market, you're going to be prepared. So put me to work for you. Let me be the busy one. Just take 15 minutes and let's find you a home. Because how would your family feel if the perfect one came, but yet you were too busy for it and it slipped away from you? You know, something like that.
Yep. Love it. Love it, Lisa. You know, thinking about what's another, you know, as we're saying this stuff out loud, like what's another way to dress it up in a way that's unique or creative, and saying the exact same thing. And I've never said this, but as on this call, it's just giving me an idea of like, how would I position that or market in a unique way? And it's, you know, have you heard of our buyer concierge program? And what would the natural response to that be?
No.
No. Well, let me tell you what it is. It's specifically designed for busy individuals like yourself. When we get together and we go through the concierge program, you're going to tell me exactly what you're looking for. And it's like you having a personal assistant out in the market hunting for you. So then you can keep doing what you do to make money. And then when the perfect property comes out, the concierge will give you a call and say, it's time to go. Would that be a benefit to you, Mr. Busy Person? That's exactly why we should get together. So you can stay busy, and then we'll be busy too for you, right? So I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. I just made that up right now. So.
Well, I like it, Matt. I like it a lot.
Run with it.
And I also like the pain and pleasure. So how would your family feel if the perfect one came on and yet you were too busy?
And that's exactly why we developed the concierge buyer program.
Yeah.
Look, marketing is simply dressing it up, you know, making yourself unique. And it's the same thing. It's who's telling the better story, right? Sales and marketing is simply the same thing. It's delivering solutions and telling a better story. People buy story, people buy, you know, solutions. And so it's our opportunity to get in front of them to be able to do that. Anything else? Okay, we got about 8 minutes to go, and we've got 1 or 2 more objections here. Do you guys want to talk about I already know or have an agent, or why can't we just see that one property? Which one? Is there like a vote? Is there like a vote button on?
I vote for I already have an agent.
You already have an agent? Then why are you calling me, sucker? Call that agent. No,
I'm not happy with my agent.
Well, I'm glad you called then. What is it specifically you're not happy with? Now, did you sign anything with them, or are you just talking to them?
Yeah, we put in offers.
You put in offers. Have you? So you signed a buyer agency agreement?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they're doing enough to. We haven't won yet. So.
Mm-hmm. What is it specifically that they're not doing for you that you wish they did?
I don't know. I just feel like we put the offer in, and then I don't hear anything back from them, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we didn't get it. Like a couple days later, and no reason why. It's just like, okay, well, on to the next.
So communication, like a lack of kind of keeping you in the loop.
Sure.
Have you spoken to them about this? Have you given them an opportunity to fix it?
No, but I don't really think I need to. I mean, they're the ones who supposed to know what they're doing, right?
Right. So, you know, unfortunately, if you're under a buyer agency agreement, you know, I'm legally not able to work with you under that agreement. And so let me ask the rest of the room, how do you transition in that conversation? They call you, they're under buyer agency, they don't like their agent. Where do you take it? And do you know what the rules are that the broker has around this?
So, okay, I'll just go. No, usually the conversation ends. I mean, I'll just be honest and be like, hey, you know, I would love to help you. If you want to address that with them and decide to go different ways, I'm more than happy to work with you. But, you know, there's nothing I can really do to help you right now. Please keep my information. And then to follow up with your last question, no, I have no idea what the rules and regulations are. I've just been told so many times that that's not what you're supposed to do.
Matt, doesn't it matter whether you called them or they called you?
It does matter.
So, but with that, I feel like there's gray, because let's say they called me first and then I follow up with them. Now that's me talking to them.
Yeah, so, you know, to ensure that everybody's staying compliant, et cetera, a lot of people, you can't coach somebody into canceling. If they ask you what it takes to get out of the agreement, you can provide information about it. That's not crossing the sign. That's not crossing an agency agreement. Now, you know, we want to stay within code of ethics and all of that as well. And there's your code of ethics reminder. If you haven't done your code of ethics in the last 2 years, you need to do it by the 31st of December. So that's kind of the long and short of it there. If somebody calls you and then they're asking how to get out, you can provide information on, and you can tell them how to do that. However, if somebody says, yeah, I have an agent, and you go, well, do you want to get out of it? That's not it. That's not it. That'll get you in trouble. So to go back to the initial objection is, I'm already working with an agent. The qualifying question is, have you signed a buyer agency agreement? Because then the conversation goes a couple of different ways, right? Like if they say, well, no, we went and looked at houses. Did you make any offers? Did you sign any agency agreements? Well, no. Okay. And now you can go in and ask some more questions.
I think too, one important question to ask around that, you guys know I'm pretty aggressive. If I'm talking to a buyer, I'm going to do everything within the law to work with that buyer. How many agents are guilty of not signing a buyer's agency with an offer? A lot. How many of us are guilty of not sitting down and having a conversation? So it's okay to educate the public and say, look through the documents that you've signed. Have you signed a buyer's agency? You need to read through and understand that. And then if they call you back like, no, we didn't sign anything, we just made this offer after an open house, it's a different conversation.
So if they haven't signed a buyer agency and they're calling you, what are some other ways that we can get the appointment?
What's your agent doing now to help? What's the agent you're talking to now doing to help you find your next home?
Okay.
And then are you familiar with what we do?
There you go. There you go. I like that you go right to asking questions. So my angle or take on it is, I'm going to position what we do and not what they're not doing. So I'm going to ask, you know, has your agent sat you down and did a comprehensive needs analysis to find out what exactly you're looking for, more than just beds, baths, and budget? And have they told you about the inventory that may be available and not on the market? And just pose that question. They go, we haven't done any of that. Okay. All right. Well, that's probably why we should get together, because we approach this in a completely different way. This is a really competitive market. And the more work we can do up front with you, the better chance that we have to compete and succeed in a market like this. And then in that appointment, I may say, you know, tell me, you know, what's working, what isn't working, what are you looking for in the right agent? You know, what's important to you? How do you like to communicate on a scale of 1 to 10? You know, how direct do you want us to be with you? What are some of the times and methods of communication that matter to you? And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is a whole different game. That other person just seemed like maybe they were just taking us out on a tour. And this is a whole different experience. All right, we're running up against the end of the time. Any thoughts, ahas, takeaways from today's call? I appreciate the participation. Remember, an objection is a gift. It's simply a question in the mind of the consumer. And once we handle it, we've earned the right to work with them, right? And then we really settle their mind, right, if you will. All right, guys, go out there. Stay awesome.